Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to your own channel Medu Study. I am your friend Ashutosh from IIM Indore, and friends, as we all know, Medu Study is your own channel initiative in which we discuss various management topics and subjects in a very simple manner. Friends, in Medu Study we have modules on 5 different subjects which are your strategy, operations, OB, HR and marketing. And based on the feedback of our dear subscribers, we keep on developing content. From last some time our subscribers are saying that we should first finish marketing and strategy courses and then develop more content. So as you know, in the last video we already finished our marketing module. Now we are working on strategy, and in strategy also it is video number 31, and this is the last chapter that is going evaluation and control. If you have not seen the first two videos, please see video number 29 and video number 30 from the playlist so that you can get the continuity. Today we will further move ahead in that topic and do evaluation and control 3. After this there will be one more video with which our strategy module will get completed. Chairman CEO feedback instrument. So 4 key areas. So whenever a chairman or CEO is evaluating the performance of the company, there are 4 main areas on which there is focus. First of all, how is the company's performance? Definitely. And for evaluating company's performance also, there will be various parameters. What is the top line? What is the bottom line? How much is the EBITDA? What is the EPS? All that parameters are there. And depending upon in what stage companies is, those parameters are decided. Second, the leadership of the organization. That is always very critical for CEO and management level people. So tip for key areas for all the SLT level, HOD level positions, they will have people, and if not, then they will see that how they can develop that particular leadership. Team building and management succession. Just in continuation to the previous point, always effective team building is the key focus area of the CEO, and management succession as well. For example, tomorrow for some reason, example, sales head has to leave. Is your pipeline ready that someone can take that position, or you will start searching afresh when that person is leaving? This, my dear friends, is known as management succession. Leadership of external constituencies. So some external units are there in the company. What will be the leadership for that? So these 4 key areas are there of the CEO: company's performance, leadership, management succession, and leadership of external constituencies. Next is management audit. As the name suggests, it is the audit by management. So it is developed to evaluate activities such as corporate social responsibility, functional areas like marketing department, division like international division. So why management audit is there? Now, as part of the government mandate, every company should spend certain percent amount of their profits in the CSR. So that audit will see whether that is being followed in letter and spirit or not. Whether the functional areas like marketing department, like HR department, like costing department, like sources department, are they fulfilling their KPIs or not? If there is any international division in the company, is that doing their work or not? So this is basically the purpose of management audit. It is useful to board of directors in evaluating the management handling of various corporate activities. So a management person who is there, board of director who is responsible to the company, who is answerable to the shareholders basically, if it is a listed company, what they will do, they will use this audit report to evaluate whether the corporate activities are going on fine or not, and if there is any gap, then that gets highlighted. So whenever there are quarterly or annual board meetings, always audit report is also presented to the management. Next comes, my dear friend, is strategic audit. So audit for strategic purpose. Now it can be done for why? First of all, it provides checklist of questions by area or issue, enabling systematic analysis of corporate function and activities. So on strategic level parameters, you are evaluating all the functions. It can be a marketing function, costing function, HR, IT. So you will have a checklist, and then a systematic analysis. This term systematic analysis is very important. That is how normal audit is different from strategic audit. It is used as a diagnostic tool to pinpoint corporate-wide problem areas and highlight organizational strength and weakness. Why this, or how this strategic audit is used? To diagnostic tool, to basically diagnose why there is any problem, pinpoint that, and what are the strength and weakness. Every company will have some strength or weakness that can come out through this organizational strategic audit. Now there is also concept of responsibility center. What are responsibility center? Used to isolate a unit so it can be evaluated separately from rest of the corporation. So basically what you are doing, you are making a unit, isolating it and evaluating it separately from rest of the company. That is why it is known as responsibility center. It has its own budget and it is evaluated on its use of budget resources. So this particular responsibility center, it is responsible for particular activity So a particular budget is given and the evaluation is also done on against the budgeted resources how you have performed. It is headed by the manager responsible for the center's performance. So there will be a manager, for example, if it is sales unit, there will be a sales director, sales HOD, who will be basically responsible. So this is the concept of responsibility center, and there are 5 responsibility centers in the normally in the company, and depending upon the company size and priorities, the company can have one or all or few. First of all is standard cost center. Now there is always a costing department whose work is to maintain some standard cost, and usually the key focus areas of this costing department for the standard cost center is the raw material and packaging material, because that constitute a huge percentage. In many companies 60 to 70% of the product cost is because of this RM cost. So standard cost center is required. Next, my dear friend, is revenue center. When we say revenue centers, which brings revenue to the company, so typically the sales function which is bringing revenue, export function which is becoming which is getting you revenue, all that is, my dear friend, revenue center. Expense center, which are basically known to do spends. One of the best example of expense center is, my dear friends, you can say marketing. Why? Because in that you are spending money. Or manpower budget, what is that? That are expense center. Profit centers, which get profit to you. So you can have, for example, 4 business lines. 3 help you in getting revenue numbers, 1 may be getting less revenue, but all is profitable. Okay, so there is always focus that what kind of margins or what kind of gross profit, gross margin you are getting, and always the CEO focuses on a business unit in a different manner, some to drive the top line, some to drive the bottom line. Investment center, typical example of investment center are basically your research and development, R&D and innovation center. There you are investing. If someone asks, by doing this what you are getting long term benefits, right? So you need to have a proper balance. So 5 centers, my dear friends, a company can have: standard cost center, revenue center, expense center, profit center, and investment center. Next comes a very important exercise, which is using benchmarking to evaluate performance. Means whenever you want to evaluate performance, what do? You do benchmarking. The continual process of measuring product, services, and practices against the toughest competitor or those companies recognized as an industry leader. That is the exercise of benchmarking. Means you recognize who is the toughest competitor or maybe industry leader, and then you do the activity measuring against them. Let me give you an example from school time. You go to home, you say, Mama, I got 90% marks. My mommy will be very happy. But then she will ask, Beta, what were the highest marks? Mama, 95%. Okay. How many students got above 90%? Mommy, 10 students. Then she will say, see, you could have also worked higher. So what your mother was doing, she was benchmarking your performance. Similarly, you might get 20% growth, but maybe the competitor has got 30%, so your performance was not good. Second scenario, you got 10% growth, competition degrew, you done exceptionally well. So that is why benchmarking is important, so that you have a standard against which you can evaluate. And this benchmarking is a 6-step exercise. First of all, identify the area or process to be examined. Which area or which process you are examining, you are benchmarking, that needs to be identified. Find behavioral and output measures. Then you find out various measures. It can be behavioral or soft measures. It can be output, or you can say hard measures. Select accessible set of competitors of best practices. 2 important parts. For first, best practices. So some competitors might be doing good, but they might be using some unethical measures. Never benchmark yourself against it. I am again saying never. Someone can be market leader, but because of unethical practices, don't benchmark. Accessible set. When we say accessible, data should be accessible and that too transparently. In many companies which are your, for example, Lala type old school companies, what happened, you don't get an authentic data, so don't benchmark against that also. Always do benchmarking when the set is accessible as well as best practices. Then you calculate the difference among your company's performance and the competitor and why the difference exists. Then you evaluate, okay, they are doing like this, investment is this much, generating this much profit, this is the gap, and what I am doing, you measure that gap. Next, in 5th step, you develop a tactical program for closing the performance gap. The gap that you have identified will be because of some reasons. In the next step, we need to develop strategies, we need to find out how we can remove that gap. Then you need to implement the program and compare. So very simple, identify the area, then set the measures, then which is the competitor, then calculate the difference, why the difference exists, make the program tactical level, strategic level to fill the gap, and in next calculate versus the gap. Next comes, my dear friends, strategic information systems. In that very first example is ERP, enterprise resource planning. Friends who have WorkX would have listened to ERP number of times. What it is, it unites all the company's major business activities from order processing to production within a single family of software modules. So a single software module which gives all the information related to company's business decisions is ERP, and it provides access to critical information to everyone. From CEO to person sitting in factory, everyone can see the data. That is what is good about this ERP or enterprise resource planning. Next is, my dear friends, RFID, radio frequency identification. So it is basically electronic tagging technology which can improve supply chain efficiency. So what you are doing, you are barcoding and you are scanning basically whenever anything comes, whenever anything goes out, so that your inventory hygiene is maintained. Divisional and functional strategic information support. It is used to support, reinforce or enlarge business level strategy throughput the decision support system. Now there can be two main problems in measuring the performance. First is lack of quantifiable objectives of performance standard. Sometimes the parameters can be qualitative, but you always require quantifiable or quantitative measures to get the performance. Inability to use information system to provide timely and valid information. There should always be IT support to get timely and valid information. These are the two main things which can be there in measuring performance. Friends, this is all in today's video, and like I mentioned, this was the third video of evaluation and control. In next video, we will further continue this topic and finish this particular chapter. If there is any confusion, please write down on our mail ID, which is meedu.study@gmail.com, or in the comment section. And if you are liking the content, please like and share. Thank you friends, take care.